Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. I just felt like I should share a message that came through for me yesterday. I'm not exactly sure where this is going to go and if this is going to turn into like a really long video or not, but sometimes I just need to share in hopes that it's going to help someone else and resonate with you. And if not, that's okay. But I just feel guided to do this today, so that's what I'm going to do. And sometimes I have so much to say that I make bullet points and kind of go off of a sheet, but today it's just more of letting whatever stream through to do so. So basically, I know that we're all going through a pretty intense time of change, and I feel like I have been for a very, very long time. I feel like it's been a constant purge, and I'm sure many of you can relate to that. And we're all going through these huge shifts, and it kind of feels like, when is it ever going to end? And that's what I want to talk about today, is trying to embrace the unfoldment, trying to embrace the journey. And I know that's really cliche to say, but as a human being, I know how tough it is to go with the flow sometimes, especially when it comes to relationships and new things that we want to welcome into our life. It can feel like it's never coming. And that's something I wanted to just be honest about today and share about, because I've been having a bit of a rough time welcoming in the new. And it's not that I'm closed off to the new. Like, I've done so much work and so much clearing and so much everything to make space for the new, but I'm in that weird in between stage or state right now where I'm not in the past and I'm not quite in the future. I am right here. And that's all we really have. And we all know that being present is really important, but it's such a tricky situation, and you can get really caught up in your thoughts and in worrying if you're in this in-between stage where you kind of have one foot here and one foot there, and you're not like fully jumping into your new beginning. And in a lot of readings that I've been doing for myself, and a lot of readings that I've been seeing online as well, the message is new beginnings. Like, it's inevitable that things are going to change. It's inevitable that we are growing and evolving, and we are starting over in a lot of ways. And if you're in a situation like me, you probably can relate to everything that I'm going to say and share today. And that's just the fact that it's really tough when you feel like you have nothing left. I sold so many of my physical belongings. I don't have many partnerships in my life anymore because a lot of them were no longer serving me, so I let them go. So I'm really left with myself and trying to get in alignment with living my life purpose to a much greater degree on a broader scale. But it doesn't happen overnight, and it can feel really frustrating sometimes, and I'm sure some of you can feel that too. So I wanted to share that today, and the message that came through for me yesterday was, to not give up hope. Like, this is not the time for us to be giving up on ourselves as much as we want to. And there's usually two sides of everything, and two opposite sides of the spectrum, but they relate, and they can always kind of stem from the same issue. And an example of this is what I was thinking about yesterday, where on one side of the spectrum, we really want control. And we know that something new is around the corner. We know that we're ready for new partnerships. We know that we're ready for a new endeavor, whether that's creatively or just in terms of our career or what have you. We want that thing. We want to feel like, we're in the midst of it. We want to feel the happiness. We want to feel the sensations that come with the new. We want to feel the excitement and the positive anticipation, instead of this anxiety that we're feeling when we feel stuck. So on one side, we're trying to control everything, and we can get really caught up in trying to meet the right people and trying to force it to happen. And every person that comes your way, you can be like, oh, is that person going to be like the one? Is that person going to be the person to help me launch this new project? Is that person going to be my new best friend? Is that person going to be this or that? But when you come from that energy, like, it's really not a welcoming energy when someone really clings onto you. And I've had it happen to me, so I understand. But I'm a human being, and I've had times where I'm like, oh, I wonder, like, if this is going to lead to something big. But in all honesty, it just doesn't feel good when someone is really clingy and makes you feel like it's forced. Like, you can't force a connection. And if someone tries to force you to partner with them, whether it's in business or romance or even a friendship, it does not feel good. It's not a feel good energy, and you don't want to be around that. Usually, if someone comes up to you and is very forceful, the thing you want to do is push them the hell away. So, coming from that space doesn't get us where we want to go, and it doesn't get us the partnerships that we want. So, it's important to remember that. And the opposite side of that spectrum is giving up hope and thinking, well, what's the point of even going out if I'm not going to meet the right people, and why do I even keep putting myself out there? I've been let down so many times, or I'm tired of waiting, so there's no point in me going, out and meeting new people because it's not going to work and they're not going to be the right people that I need or want, or yada yada. So you can't really find what you want from either side, and I've tried. I've tried both. I've been on both sides of the spectrum where I've just completely given up, or I've tried really, really hard to force things to happen on my time, in my way. And we all know it never happens like that. So I was really guided to think about, the things that have worked out instead of focusing on what's not working. So think about your closest friendships and how did you meet those people and when did you meet those people? That's what I started doing. And when I thought about the closest people in my life, I met them not because I forced it. It just organically happened when I was in my flow, doing my thing, in my own vibration, doing what I love to do in my career, and going where life took me at the time. And it was honestly just divine. Like, I was just brought together with these people. And I think sometimes we put too much pressure on relationships and how long they should last and all this stuff. Because there were people that meant a lot to me that left my life, and I met them organically as well, Just because something is really great doesn't mean it's always going to work. But the thing is, like, you can't always have that expectation of how long something's going to last and if it's doomed for failure or if it's, like, destined for success, because we just don't know. Because looking back on my closest friendships and my closest soul family members that I have in my life right now, like I said, I met them organically when I was just in my flow doing my thing, and so were they. And when I remember the first time that I met a lot of these people, and each of those times I had no idea that I would still be friends with them years down the line. So I didn't go in with that expectation and that intention. Like, I didn't cling on to them right away as soon as I met them. I didn't think to myself, this person's going to be my best friend for the rest of my life. I didn't do that at all, because you just don't know the first time you meet someone. Like, sometimes you think you know, and there were people that used to be in my life that aren't anymore. And I think if I came from that vibration or having a feeling of, yes, soul familiarity and what have you, but if I had that sense or that story of wanting to cling and wanting to give up my life and indulge in them and have them become my life and think that they're going to be there forever, guess what? Those people aren't in my life anymore. And I don't know. I think life sometimes is just about going with the flow. And I know it's a very old message to say, but I think that it's important to put out there right now. And I think it's important to remember. And I think it's for me to remind myself, but I also wanted to remind everyone else as well that sometimes you just don't know. So if you go out seeking what you want, it usually doesn't come to you that way. And if you do get what you want that way, it usually doesn't last. Because it's not healthy to walk into something and put so much pressure on it. And the same goes for, like, career things. There are some times where I put so much pressure on this one new project or on this one show where I'm performing and this one day, or think of a wedding. We put so much pressure on this one day, on this one event, and most of the time people stress themselves out so much that they don't enjoy what's supposed to be so special. And usually the best things in life seem to happen unexpectedly to us, to our logical mind. They're things that we couldn't plan out, and they're things that are divinely planned, and it's divine timing, but we just can't, and we don't know everything. And when we surrender to that and we accept that, life becomes a whole lot easier. And I think we deserve that. I certainly want to welcome in more grace and ease and flow into my life, and I'm getting really tired of trying to plan things out and trying to force things to happen. Because at the end of the day, we can only do so much. We can only understand so much with our logical mind. We can only do so much in terms of acting, because when we take action, it's like, yeah, that's great, but, if we're over doing it, over pushing, overworking, that doesn't really get us what we want either, because it leaves us depleted, and if we're not putting ourselves first, then we're just asking for it. We're asking for trouble, and eventually your body breaks down, and I've been through this before. Who hasn't? So instead of forcing everything to happen, I invite you and I invite myself to try to breathe and let go and try to stop over planning. And it's okay to know. It's okay to have a sense of knowing. To have a sense that you know what your purpose is, or you know what you want to work on next. And if you don't, that's okay. But I'm coming from a place where it's like I know where I want to go, but I don't exactly know how to get there. And trying to plan out the hows and every little step along the way doesn't always work. And though it is important to have a plan in place sometimes in life, in truth, we cannot plan everything out. And we're not meant to plan everything out. And even if we do make plans, it doesn't always go according to our plan on our time, because everything has to align with the greater good and with, the will of God, if you will, or with our higher self. So remember that we do have soul plans, and we do plan out a lot of things, a blueprint, if you will, before we come here. So a lot of things are destined. A lot of things are meant to happen at a certain time. It's not to say we don't have free will, because we do, and we do get to choose a lot of things. But I think, and I believe anyway, if something is meant to happen, if certain people are meant to meet you, they'll meet you. And you can't mess it up. There's no way for you to make a mistake, and you don't have to be afraid of making a mistake and get stuck in not taking any action, or the opposite, like I said, where you're taking too much action and you're trying to force things. Neither of them are necessary. Really, no matter what you do, if you're overly pushing and trying to make something happen, you might actually be pushing away the very thing that you want, to be honest, or prolonging it, if anything. I don't think you're necessarily getting rid of it forever, but you're kind of making the situation last longer than it needs to. And the opposite of where you're just stuck doing nothing, well, maybe there is some action you need to take, but it always starts with self, taking care of yourself first. So allow and continue to make space for what's coming into your life. Make space for the new. And I know it feels like, how much more space can I make in my life? Because that's all I have is empty space. But trust that the new things and the new energies and the new vibrations and the new people and the new success, the new situations that are coming, they need that space. They probably need more space than you've ever cleared before, more space than you've ever had to make in your life. So trust that that's for a reason, and trust that, whoever you're meant to meet, you'll meet. Wherever you're meant to go, you will go. And it's so much easier if you let it happen organically and you let it flow. And I know it's easier said than done. It's a practice. But trust that you can't mess it up. And even if you are getting tripped up, and even if you are obsessing over trying to make things work, or the opposite, where you feel like doing nothing, or you feel like you can't physically do anything else, and you want to give up, even if you feel like you're stuck and you're on a detour somewhere, you're going to get back on your path. And usually the detours are part of your path. So just trust that you'll find your way. And like I said, you can't make a mistake. No matter what's meant to come through will come through, because your soul has a plan, and your soul will get you there somehow, even if your logical mind can't figure it out. So I hope this serves you well and helps someone out there today. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye.